Let's talk about eggs. This is a really good one. There is so much nuance in the conversation of eggs that I know we haven't discussed it here on my YouTube channel, but there is some really interesting labeling of eggs. There's some really interesting practices around how chickens lay eggs that actually will determine the quality of the egg that you get when you buy it at the market. So in this video, we're going to talk about, are eggs really worth it? And especially the expensive eggs. Like, there's some eggs out there that are really expensive. Are they worth it? Okay, let's talk about that. It's a fascinating subject. So here we go. We're going to dive in. First, I just want to tell you that an egg is one of my favorite foods, and I'll tell you why. Somebody said this to me a while back, and it really stuck in my head, which is, if you think about it, the inside of an egg is every nutrient needed to make a baby chick. So it has a very complex nutrient profile. But I don't know about you, but when I actually go to crack open an egg, oftentimes the yolk color is really different depending on the egg source that I buy. And the yolk color matters. The deeper, darker yolks tend to have, the more golden, orangey yolks tend to have more nutrients in them than one that's very, very light yellow. Just ask anybody who has backyard chickens. They will, if you've ever picked some up from a neighbor who brought you their backyard eggs and you crack them open, that yolk looks so much different than one that maybe even you order at a restaurant. So the first thing I want to tell you about is that the egg color, that yolk color, really matters for nutrients. I just had some eggs this morning that were actually blue on the outside. And when I cracked them open, it wasn't even yellow. It was like an orange-red color. That excited me because I was like, wow, that really is rich in nutrients. Now, one of the things about the chickens that deliver these eggs or give us these eggs is that there's a quality to that chicken that you're going to want. And that quality is that you want your chicken to be out roaming a pasture. You do not want your chicken in a cage. Those are the ones that are going to give the nutrient depleted eggs. So you want it out roaming in a pasture all day, outside, and eating their natural diet. So imagine it, you want it to be like feeding off of grass and bugs and things that it would normally do if it was in its natural habitat, not a cage being fed a diet. So we call these pasture-raised eggs. So that is on labels. I'll talk about that more here in a second. And one of the things that they know about these pasture-raised eggs that have been raised on grass is that not only are the yolks a richer color, but these richer color has something in it called carotenoids. And carotenoids are also found in a lot of plants. And carotenoids are really powerful for a lot of things, but eyes is one of them. Skin is another one. If you think about anything that's rich in vitamin A that you need, vitamin A, by the way, is a key 24 nutrient that I wrote about in Eat Like a Girl, which is out for pre-order right now. It's a nutrient you need to make a lot of things. So I can take 2 eggs, one that was in a little cage. It doesn't have the same carotenoid dosage that in there as the one that was out roaming in the field. Now, a 2022 study, this one's really interesting to me, showed that pasture-raised eggs, when they compared it to conventional raised eggs. So this, to me, is the meat of what this video is about. Because if you want the answer, are expensive eggs worth it, then my question back to you would be, do you want more nutrients? Do you want more carotenoids? Do you want more omega-3s? Do you want more nutrients in your eggs? Because this 2020 study showed it's two times more carotenoids, 3 times more omega-3s. Remember, omega-3s really bring inflammation down, and 5 to 10 times lower ratio of omega-6 to omega-3s. Now, this is an important one. So I recently brought on my favorite integrative Dr. Yoshi Ram onto my podcast, and we talked about supplements. And one of the supplements we talked about was omega-3, 6, 9, like what that ratio needs to be. And there's something really interesting about this conversation around fatty acids that we have been in for years. You know, you go to somebody and they're like, hey, my doctor says it's great for heart health, I should have more omega-3s. But actually, omega-3 is only part of the discussion, and this is what Dr. Yoshi and I talked about, which is that when you're looking at fatty acids and using omega-3s to bring inflammation down and all the wonderful things we know omega-3s can do, we can't leave omega-6 out of the conversation. Most of us in the Western world, when we're eating these highly processed foods and these highly processed fats, inflammatory fats, we are raising our omega-6s. So if you are eating a Western diet that is building up the harmful omega-6s, taking an omega-3 supplement can help bring some balance back, which can be good. So that could also apply to an egg. If you're somebody that is just starting a fasting lifestyle, or you're coming to this video learning how to just clean up your overall nutrition and health, we have to be able to look at this fatty acid profile from a more expansive context, because if I've got high omega-6s because of my poor diet, then I'm going to need to even more to eat the eggs with the real bright yolk that have been pasture raised to help bring that down. I'd even go as far as to say if you don't want to take an omega-3 supplement, you're not a supplement fan, then get the right egg so we can start to bring this ratio into balance. And that's what this study shows, is that it actually starts 5 to 10 times greater effect when we bring a pasture-raised egg into our diet to balance your omega-3 and omega-6s. I mean, based off of that study, I look at a pasture-raised egg as like a supplement. And if you're looking at the expense of it, it's actually cheaper than diving into omega-3 supplementation. So let's start putting it in that conversation, in that context. Another couple of interesting tricks about labeling on eggs that I really want to bring to your attention, which is this concept of cage-free or free range. Now, this is tricky. And I will tell you, in Eat Like a Girl, I literally put an ingredient label in there, and I show you how to read an ingredient label, because the food industry has gotten so crafty with how they start to make a product look like it's a health food, but it's not a health food. And so I want to read this verbatim for you because it's fascinating to me, and it should make you mad, makes me mad, which is that the USDA, this is here in America, those of you that, I know we have a worldwide audience, but those of you that are here in America, our food system is the worst. And they have some loopholes for free range and cage free. So free range means that the chickens must have unlimited access to the outdoors during their egg laying season. But the farmers can keep these chickens indoor if they fear for the chickens' safety. So what a lot of farmers do is that they just keep the chickens inside a barn, and they keep a door open so they could go out, but then many times they close the door because they don't want to have to deal with the chicken being out in a free-ranged environment, and they just say it was unsafe. So it's like a loophole where they can say, yes, it's free range, but I mean, I know when I pick up an egg container at the store, it's not like I know how long that chicken has been out in the pasture. So free range is a bit of a scam, or it can be. This is where you want to get to know the place you're buying your eggs from. This would be where you would want to talk to your farmer. I know for my family, we go to farmers markets. We know the farmer who's delivering the eggs. I've even had a farmer pull out the pictures of where the chickens were, which was really cool, and that yolk was bright orange. Now, cage-free. Cage-free is interesting too, because cage-free just means they aren't kept in cages. So farmers can still pack hundreds of them into a small space and give them terrible living conditions and cheap corn feed, and they still can call them cage-free. So to me, cage-free doesn't even really mean anything. Okay, I gotta interrupt this video because I have a free guide for you so you can master fasting. It's called A Beginner's Guide to a Fasting Lifestyle, and all you've got to do is click here and you can jump right in. So what can we do to buy an egg that supports health? Again, I said know your farmer. I love that. Get to know that farmer and what their practices are. Get a backyard chicken. That's also, let them roam around. Maybe you let them roam around your house. Maybe you let them roam around your backyard, but let them roam and be in their natural habitat, because that will give you more nutrients. And then at the end of the day, pasture raised. It's it. So when you're looking at the eggs and you're like, holy cow, $9 for a carton of eggs. If it's pasture raised, think of it as a supplement. Think of it as a nutrient-dense piece of food. Would you buy $9 of a supplement jar? Most people are buying supplements not even understanding why they're buying supplements. So pasture raised is where it's at. If it says cage free, if it says free range, but it doesn't say pasture raised, it may be one of those situations where it is a marketing gimmick. Again, reach out to the company, ask them their practices. That always helps. But if it doesn't say pasture raised, doesn't say free range or cage free, you're pretty much getting a dead food. Doesn't have those nutrients. So is it worth it? In my book, absolutely. Because I want to use food as medicine, just like I use fasting as a healing tool. So when we eat the right version of these foods, we really start to see the power that the nutrients in foods like an egg can provide us. So let me know if that was helpful. That was a big, long conversation on eggs. So I hope this level of detail helps. And those of you that have pre-ordered Eat Like a Girl, thank you very much. And I'm excited to, a lot of egg recipes in here, by the way, lots of them. Both my chefs put a ton of eggs recipes, delicious egg recipes in there that will be incredibly joyful to your taste buds in your mouth. And again, as always, thank you for joining me on this journey of health, because we live in this crazy world right now where just something as simple as navigating food is not so simple anymore. Something as simple as buying an egg isn't as simple as anymore. But now you know, and if your mind is blown and you're super excited about what you learned in this video, please share it out into the world. And as always, keep believing in yourself. Keep asking questions and keep demanding better food quality, because you deserve it. Hope that helps. If you love this video, I did a great video called Should You Eat Eggs Every Day for Breakfast? So you need them to make things like serotonin and dopamine, the neurotransmitters that give us a good mood balance, make us happy, make us calm, give us joy and satisfaction. The precursors for those neurotransmitters are all inside this little egg.